I'm going to do a couple of introductions anyway. So we are talking to Bev Doyle and Richard Kurti, the screenwriters for Going Postal. It's very early here, so there aren't a lot of people here. So that's why the focus is on me. Listen, you can put the name to the face now. So we might do. I'm going to ask you questions. You've asked me, so now it's my turn. Was screenwriting always an ambition for both for you? And then you can both answer.
Yeah, well, we got slightly separate stories there. So I was directing was my way in. I was director first and foremost. That was my big passion. In my 20s and early 30s, I did a lot of documentaries and commercial films. Um, but the doors that opened to the industry were the writing doors. They were the ones that really opened up. So I just followed the writing more than
Yeah.
the directing. But having trained as a director was a really good preparation for working as a writer, actually, because when the director sits down with you, you really understand how they think and the problems they're facing, which are very different to writers' problems. So it was actually really good grounding to come from that
Mm.
angle into writing. But Bev's completely the opposite.
Yes, I came in through songwriting
Oh,
because I was singing. I used to have a residency in this wine bar, and there was this guy called Tony Holland who was one of the regulars there. And he came up one day and said, "I like the songs you write." He says, "Have you thought about writing for TV?" And I said, "No." He says, "Well, it pays good money." I says, "In that case, I'm thinking about it."
you go, money? Yes. Money, passion, money. Okay, yeah, I'll give it a go. Well, you do what you do sometimes. You can always go back to what you wanted to do before, and you can't say you don't like it unless you've tried it.
Exactly, so
Yeah.
he sort of took me under his wing and trained me up, and then he went on with Julia Smith to devise EastEnders. I don't know if you get EastEnders over.
Yes, EastEnders, yes. Yeah.
So so he sort of hired me to write a few scripts for that. So that's how I got started.
Oh, excellent. And how did you become a team?
Ah, well. So I trained at the BBC as a sound recordist and outside broadcasts. So technical training, which was really good. And So the money was good, the overtime was good, but what was really good were the expenses, because the BBC rulebook on expenses was enormous. What you could claim, what you couldn't claim, and how to work the system. And so every week you'd have to put these very complicated expenses forms in. And at that point, guess who was in the office checking them?
Ah, oh, that's
And
good.
I said,
Yeah.
he came in one day and I says, "I know a great work of fiction when I see it." And that's how we got started.
We got started, yeah,
Oh,
we sat
that's
down, started talking, and then Bev had already done his stint at EastEnders then. It was then back at the Beeb. And I said to him, I've got this great idea for how to make a really low budget movie, whereas we'll shoot it as a silent film, which I thought was a stroke of genius. It actually nearly bankrupted us, but we did write it, we pushed it through, and that really kind of cemented our relationship,
oh, that's
much to our
brilliant.
wives' chagrin. They hated that.
And your wives get on okay?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, they
Yeah,
do.
that's
But
excellent.
I think they're resigned to just the madness of being a screenwriter. I think they're just like, because like one minute it's like the world's your oyster, and the next minute like we're going bankrupt. And I
Yeah,
think they're just like they just understood over 25 years. It's like okay,
it's flood
Yeah,
and
they just
famine. That's the
yeah,
they,
exactly. Feast and famine.
they just do the roll of the eyes and go, yeah, been there, done that.
Absolutely, the roll of the eyes. It's like absolutely. When you say, "Oh, we just done this great job," the first question is, "How much does it pay?" That's always the
Yeah.
first question they ask.
You
yeah.
go,
My wife
yeah,
Diane's got absolutely no interest in anything that I do whatsoever. So she's
oh, that's perfect.
yeah.
Yeah,
It is perfect.
my husband's a bit the same with this. Like, I go, oh, I'm doing the convention. They go, and he tells people, oh, she's just running some convention thing, and then it's like you wouldn't be interested, and then we just move on. So I never get to tell it because I've told him stuff, and then my friends, like the people that we're talking to, they'll just go, okay. Anyway, that's the way it goes. So how did you get the gig of writing the screenplay for Going Postal?
Well, after we nearly bankrupted ourselves with that low budget movie, we went the opposite direction and we said, okay, low budget doesn't work. So we sat down and we decided what is the most expensive screenplay we could possibly write. We wrote a list of all the things that make movies expensive. Period, big star role, lots of action, lots of set pieces, complicated stunts, based on a true story. And we found this extraordinary story that no one ever told, which is a true story about Isaac Newton, the physicist. In his
Okay.
50s, after he'd done all his great science, he was hired by the Royal Mint to become a cop because England was in the middle of a counterfeiting crisis. And the king said, get me the smartest man in the kingdom to sort this out. And his advisor said, look, the smartest man in the kingdom is this crazy scientist. He won't want to do it. And the king said, no, get him down here. He's, and they made him master of the mint, master of the Royal Mint.
He
And
was basically the Eliot Ness of his day.
he was. And he took the job on
Uh,
and treated it as a science problem. He sent 16 men to the gallows. He all that brain power went to becoming a cop. So we called it was Isaac Newton Cop, and we called the show Newton's Law. And we wrote this movie, and it really was a great calling card. It broke us into the industry, but it had all these elements like genre, witty dialogue, colorful characters, high concept, slightly crazy. That I think Sky read that and thought, oh, these guys would be good. The same kind of elements that Terry's got,
mm.
not the fantasy, but the same kind of bold character, and that's what got us in with Sky.
Oh, excellent. And were you Pratchett fans beforehand, or you just fell into that?
No, we were, although we like
Yeah.
some books better than others.
Yes,
And
as you
actually,
do.
right, exactly. And actually, the book that they originally wanted us to do was Sorcery, which was not one of
Oh,
our favorite books. Right,
no,
exactly.
not
Um,
mine either.
and it turns out it wasn't one of Terry's favorite books either, because
Oh, good.
we were contracted. We were about halfway through Sorcery, and that was when Terry was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and
Mm,
he didn't want his last adaptation to be Sorcery. So he
mm,
said he wanted to pick another book, and he picked Going Postal because it was kind of very resonant with the kind of financial crisis that was brewing at the time.
mm-hmm,
So then we start all over again with Going Postal, which I think was a really smart move by Terry because
mm,
it, it apart from being still relevant now when you look at it, I mean more relevant now. It also broke out of the hardcore Terry Pratchett fans, which is what Sky wanted. Sky wanted to go very beyond the core fan base. They love the fan base, but to make the money work, they had it to go beyond. And I think Going Postal
mm,
did that because it wasn't so hardcore Discworld. I mean, wouldn't you say?
mm. Yeah, I actually, that's my favorite. Like I've watched The Color of Magic and The Hogfather, and Going Postal is always the one that I go, I want to watch something that I've watched before just so I don't have to concentrate too hard, and I whack that on. So yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
their brief was they said, we want people who've never read Terry Pratchett or heard about him to be able to watch
yeah,
this and, you know,
yeah,
get into it.
yeah. I was telling my sister about the convention, and I saw her at Christmas, and she said, "Well, what's this movie that you're talking about?" So we watched Going Postal, and she said, "I've watched it again because I thought it was really good," even though she's not a Pratchett fan, um, and not that she dislikes him, she just has never read him. And she said, "Oh, I've shown it to the kids. You know, she loved it." So you're right;
Oh, that's great.
it does appeal to people who are not necessarily fans.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's the characters are relatable. The themes are very contemporary, and it's just got that
yeah,
sprinkling of magic just to pull things together. But
yeah,
it's I think because he's such a cynical character. Moist is such
yeah,
a great character at the heart of it, isn't he? He doesn't
yeah.
believe anything, and you're really kind of rooting for this. Um,
Yeah. It's a shame you couldn't get up to making money as well. That would have been good too.
it would, and there
Just to
would,
continue
and there
that
was
on.
making movies and stuff. I know that there was a change of power structure at Sky, and new brooms when they take over studios and stuff, they kind of go,
Yeah.
I want to do my things. So it a little
Yeah.
bit fell victim to cat because we'd have kept on doing it. We loved doing it, and Terry was
Yeah.
all lined up for it. But I think it was politics. TV is so full of
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah. That's the way it goes most of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah. Your new management come in, they sweep out everything before they actually go, oh, hang on a minute, that was actually working. Oh, too late.
right, exactly. They want to make
Yeah.
their stamp. Yeah, exactly.
Um, how involved was Terry during the filming?
So we met him up front for a couple of times.
Yeah.
And we talked about everything but writing. You were talking
Of
about
course.
it
Yeah.
over an Indian meal. It was great. And
Yeah.
then he gave us his blessing, and then he said, "Off you go." Um, and so the challenges there were, yeah, Terry's genius with language often meant that it bailed him out of structural questions, and he could just his brilliant use of language would often just sweep over structural problems. For example, in Going Postal, the idea at the heart of it that there's a machine that is so efficient it sorts letters before they're written is a great joke. But you try putting that on a screen. What does it even mean to sort letters before? So the plan of
Also,
attack was,
novels are much more stream of consciousness, aren't they,
right,
structurally?
Yeah.
Whereas a film has to be really structured. You need pinch points, you need sort of rises and climaxes and all that sort of stuff. Which
well, plus commercial television, you've got to hit your ad
yeah,
breaks. So you break it up into 15-minute sections and there's got to be a hook every 15 minutes. It's very, very structured. So what our plan was that we would strip the book away, reveal the skeleton, completely reconfigure the skeleton so that it works structurally on TV, and then clad it all with Terry's linguistic genius.
Mm.
The one thing that should not have happened was that when we're in the middle of that process, when it's like all Terry's gone and we're just working on structure, don't show it to Terry. And for some reason, somebody showed it to Terry. To this day, I don't know why. And Terry read
Mm.
it and he was like, "Where have I gone?" He was really upset because it's like with just peeled away all the stuff that Terry's genius, and we're working
Yeah.
on structure, and all hell broke loose. I mean, we were just thought we're going to be fired here. We were just resigned to being fired. It's normally what happens: fire the writers. And
Yeah.
there were some backroom negotiations. To this day, I don't know what happened, but they all said, "No, no, finish the job, finish the job." And so that
Mm.
we finished the restructuring, then we spent ages, draft after draft, cladding it with Terry's linguistic genius again,
Mm.
so that it looked and felt and sounded like Terry, even though
Mm.
underneath the engine underneath had been changed quite a lot. And Terry, bless him, he at the end of it he said, "I love it." He really did love it, and he could see
Mm.
at the very end of the process what it meant, which was
Yeah.
really lovely actually.
Well, that's the thing with some stories need to be restructured so they make sense on the film, like on the screen, don't they? Because you can't, it helps it to flow better. Otherwise, it'll just look a little bit disjointed, and people are going, "What?" So they're not going to understand how it is. So when you have to pull it apart and restructure it, it makes more sense for the viewer.
Yes, I think also because it's when you read a novel, it's very intimate, isn't it? You are with,
Mm.
and you get into the author's mind, and you give the author a lot of slack because you're in a very intimate kind of relationship with them. But on TV, you're sitting back, and there's that thing like entertain me, don't bore
Mm.
me. But I mean, that was the thing. People need.
I mean, a great example was the sorting machine. In the book, you can do the whole sorting machine thing,
Yeah.
which was a great idea and very funny and all that. And in the book, it didn't have to go anywhere, because you just enjoyed the idea. But in the film,
Yeah.
like, you can't set that up and then
Yeah.
it doesn't come back
Yeah.
later. You know what I mean? It needs to pay off
Yeah.
later. So
Yeah.
And Terry often brings great characters in halfway through, new characters in halfway through, which is great in a book. But sometimes in TV, you kind of go, hang on a second, why did we meet this person earlier? It's just
Yes.
sometimes seeding characters in earlier we needed to do. And it was
Yeah.
fascinating, though, working with Terry's text and getting into it was really, you know,
Yeah.
the mind, Terry's brain. I mean, goodness me,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think his brain, if it was a garden maze, you would probably never get to the end. That's what I get from that. Like he had just had so much jam packed in there. Like, I don't know how he used to be able to sleep. If he did, I don't know. So what was the hardest decision you had to come to make in terms of what to cut or change for the original book? Well, obviously the sorting machine, and why?
well, the sorting machine, because it sort of disappeared, so there was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest sort of wrench we had to make was like a sort of third act. he didn't really have a climactic act at the end.
Yeah.
And we had to sort of make a climactic act, which is where the race came from.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the biggest, you know, that was the real white knuckle bit of the
Yeah.
But it was
structure.
there's so much in the book. What we found, it was more a question of just kind of going, he's given us all the answers, but he's given us too many answers. He's given us all
Yes.
this riches. All we need to do is just select. Someone
Yeah.
once said that adapting a book, it's like the book is like a stained glass window, and you in a church, you take a brick and you throw it through the window, and it shatters into 10,000 pieces. And in a
Mm.
screenplay, you've got to pick up 120 pieces to give an impression of the window. And
Yeah.
it very much felt like that with Terry. Like we had all these riches, and we just had to select and string
Mm.
together in a slightly different way. And
Mm.
great fun.
Yeah.
16 drafts. Went through 16 drafts before
Wow.
that was after all the treatment work. Once you actually got to
Mm.
script, there were 16
Mm.
complete sets of scripts.
Oh God.
I
And
mean,
you didn't show him all the scripts, did you?
No,
All the
he didn't want to
drafts?
read any after the one. He freaked out. He didn't want to read it. Just saw the show.
I'm sorry, Bev, I think I cut you off.
I say you can get away with that more, like something like Mad Men, you know, where you got 22 episodes in a series. You can, because that was very novelistic in its approach. You know what I mean? It could one week just go away and do something different, and you're not tied so much to that strict sort of structural thing that you got in a movie, you know. But when you got the movie, you've got to be really careful about keeping everything solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The slot was
Um,
2 times 2 hours, wasn't it? That was the slot we were
Yeah.
given. So you're right. If it had been 20 times 1, different story altogether.
yeah. Yeah. Someone's just handed me a question in the little audience we have here. In the book, all the letters wanted to be delivered. Why are they so vindictive in the film?
Well, it
Poor
was a
old
question.
boy. I mean, he was having heart attack everywhere over those.
He was, but I think that was really why we wanted to just ramp the pressure up on him, because
Yeah.
that would put the pressure on him to make those decisions. You know,
Yeah.
just pushing him to be a better man all the time. And the letters were kind of doing that. So it felt like they could be really, um, you know,
Persuasive.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Also he had
menacing
to
as
be
well.
morally tested.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so the letters were doing that.
Yeah. Were there any themes or elements from the book that became more important or less in the film version? So I mean, you had the love between Adora Dearheart and Moist, and was that ramped up more, or the fact that you had the golems she was worried about them being abused, all that.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
suppose we did ramp that up a bit, although for me, I mean, it's a long time since I read the book, obviously. I just felt that was in the book anyway, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
and I
So,
think also once you got she's such a strong character, you want to use her more. And it's interesting that what a superstar Claire Foy's gone on to become.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
amazing car. I looked at it again last weekend. It's like, what a cast they put together. Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Claire Foy, it was brilliant. And I didn't, going into it, I didn't know her, but God, she's gone stellar since then, hasn't she?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm really glad she
Um,
had a big role because it was like such a good actor.
yeah, she was really good. I loved her in that. We actually tried to get to talk to her, but she's been busy filming, so we weren't
But you
able
know,
to get
there's a
her in.
funny thing at this screening. There was a cast and crew screening, and
Yeah.
we turn up looking like we do, scruffy
Yeah.
buggers, and
Yeah.
we were kind of sitting there, and the lights were just about to go out, and Claire just snuck in, and she sat down next to us and said, "Oh, hi," and she said, are you Viz Effects?" We said, no, with the writers," and she went, "I'm sorry." I said, "No, with the writers." She went, "Are you Rich and Bev? You're Rich and Bev." And we're like, "Yeah." And then the lights went down and we never spoke to her again. But she
Oh.
just thought, those scruffy buggers, they must just visual effects or something.
No, she might have been a little bit starstruck, just going, I'm with someone famous.
when her name came up, she leant across and said, "That's you."
And now she'd be actually trying to get to Claire Foy now, flying.
I saw her recently being interviewed on the Graham Norton show for her new movie that's coming out. Oh, for the The Faraway Tree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she's the mum in that. And just her way that she was responded to interviews and the other people that were on the couch with her. It was almost like you were having a coffee or a drink in a bar, because it was just like she was leaning over them and chatting. And so she looks like she's a very personable person. She just looks like a great person with um, just a lot of flair, the way that she's not up herself, basically. So yeah,
No, I mean,
yeah,
just such a great act. When you got all that talent, you don't need to be up yourself to go. I mean, she was
no,
astonishing as the young queen. I thought it was like
yes,
in The Crown. It was like, what a difficult role to take on, and how good was she? Incredible.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I really liked listening to her. Um, what were we going to ask you next? So is there any other book that you would like to adapt? Either it's being the Discworld or something else.
Discworld regards
Into it.
guards. We'd love to
Yeah,
regards guards. Yeah,
yeah,
that just leaps off the page. But we read a lot of non-fiction, or we read books that are unfilmable. Because
mm, yeah.
um,
Is that on
I'm
purpose?
I don't know actually. But certainly we need a lot of non-fiction. I love non-fiction. That's a lot of. I think a lot of
Yeah.
fiction
I
is
mean, I love
just.
Kurt Vonnegut, but they've tried to film him before, and
Yeah.
it's just he's unfilmable. You know,
Okay.
I think Yellowface was the last book I read that I thought, wow, this would be amazing. Was Yellowface? Have you read that one?
Yeah. I haven't read it. No, not
Brilliant,
yet. I've got it at home on my to be read pile.
brilliant. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
brilliant satire
Um,
on
it,
publishing.
it, yeah, there's been a lot of people that have sort of talked it up. So yeah, I would really like to do that. Um, who's your favorite character? So you've read a lot of the books. So have a favorite character?
it's veterinary for me.
A veterinary, yeah.
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 I thought Charles Dance did him so well as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Going Postal, it was like every eyebrow, every little.
Yeah. A little
I
twitch.
love Moist. I'd love to, you say, making money. I'd love to follow through with
Yeah.
Moist because it's like the world's run by Moists now, isn't it? They're all
Yeah.
in power. They're all presidents and prime ministers, all the Moists.
Yeah. And I think he's in Raising Steam as well, isn't he? Um
I haven't read that.
Later.
I haven't
I,
read that one.
yeah,
We
I have to have a look. I was going to say that'd be a difficult one to
Well,
make, I think.
we were going to do making movies as well as an audio thing, which was also because Terry had
Yeah.
a really interesting. He saw the film business for what it was. He really did to see through
Yeah.
it, and that was a great satire.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I was going to say my favorite character is Death. Well, he comes first and then everyone comes a close second. I just
What?
like sorry?
Why is that? Why there?
I just like he's trying to understand humanity, like he likes cats, he'd kill for a curry, he's got a horse, all this, and he's got a garden. He just doesn't quite understand that it should have color and it's just black, he's trying so hard. And then in Reaper Man, he's forced to try and understand humanity more when he becomes Bill Dorr, and that's probably one of my favorite books is that one. I mean, I love the witches, and we're doing a celebration of the witches at the Discworld convention, but yeah, Reaper Man is my favorite.
So have you read the entire canon?
Yes, right through to Shepherd's Crown. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, and I only started reading him in 2010. There was a press release in my suburb that I live in, and they were announcing this convention and I went, "What is that?" But you can dress up. Like, yeah, I'll do that. And I used to own a costume hire shop, you see, so it was right up my alley. And I'm going, "Oh man, there's something just up the road. I can do that." And then I met the committee, and some of them are still on this committee now, and now we're just one great big happy family. Like, we all go out and we all meet, and it's just a family thing. And so but to get into it, I just started reading. Of course, I started with Color of Magic, and I went, okay, and then put that one back down. But then moved on to, went to Weird Sisters, and then I went, okay, I get you now. So, and even Terry himself said, I got to talk to him at the convention, and I said, which book do you start from the beginning? He's going, oh God, no, don't start from the beginning. He said,
Interesting. All right.
start with Guards, Weird Sisters, Unseen Academicals, and all those sort of things. So yeah, at least he agreed on the Color of Magic.
And do you get a lot of younger readers coming in, or new readers coming in?
For here, yeah, um, we've got whole families. So, for instance, there's a family on our committee. The mum and dad, Kat and Mick, run the ops, and their children are now grown up. And Bethany is now our vice chair on this committee, and she now has a little bubba. So a 2-year-old that comes along as well. So we're breeding them in. So, and there's a few kids that have come along with their parents and are getting into the dressing up and helping, all that. We're and at the convention itself, I think we've got 60 newcomers that have never been to a Discworld
Wow.
convention, which is just phenomenal. It's really good. I mean, I don't know if it's convenient because there are people that are traveling that are newbies as well. So, yeah, we're just trying to keep the word up and get everyone still to come along. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
it's
brilliant.
been really good. Yeah. I don't have many more questions. Does anyone have a question for the people? Come down because the microphone doesn't reach that far. Yeah. We're asking a few people with questions. You have to sort of lean in if you can.
Okay.
And speak loudly, clearly.
Hi guys. Have you done much in the any other jobs in the fantasy roles, or any writing in the fantasy world, or?
More sci-fi, isn't it? With
Yeah, sci-fi bridging into fantasy more. Yeah, like Primeval. Did some Primevals,
yeah,
Yeah.
and we
the
did.
effect,
Sorry.
the effect.
Thank you. Yeah. And Richard, you got quite a few books under your skin there.
Yeah, my eighth novel just came out a couple of weeks ago. That was the historical thrillers. So there was
Yes.
a series of five set around the building of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, which were amazing to research. Lots of
Yeah.
tax-deductible holidays to Rome.
Lots of rabbit holes to go down.
Loads, loads. And in fact, we're just dabbling with a bit of non-fiction at the moment because that script Newton's Law that I mentioned earlier on, the one that we broke us into the business. So that
Yeah.
every writer's dream is that you write a script and your agent goes, I love it. And everyone who sees it goes, I love it. And then she sells it. And that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened. And you would normally think that the next thing that will happen is it ends up on screen.
Yeah.
And what the next thing happened with that script was a 25-year journey through the film
Yeah.
list. It was in development for 25 years.
Oh
And
God.
it was the craziest story you couldn't make it up. It took us through up to the highest levels of the business in Los Angeles, through the London, some of the biggest stars in the world. And at every twist and turn, for some reason, it didn't quite get made.
Oh,
Terry would have loved the story. So, 25 years, but it got us tons of work on the en route. So, it earned us a load of money. But it was like everyone loved the script, and somehow that never quite made it through. So I wrote that up as a non-fiction, just as a kind of account, and it's hilarious. It was like really, you just people are aghast when they read it. So we're thinking of putting that on Substack as
okay.
like a weekly thing on Substack because Substack feels like a good. Do you do
Yeah.
Substack?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It feels like a good thing to kind of. That
Yeah.
feels like a
A
good
lot of
story for that.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of authors on Substack, so they're all trying to put their piece out there. So on often get you know people putting little excerpts from their books and things like that. So yeah, that would work. That's where everyone goes now. Twitter died, and Substack was born.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's that kind of it got that kind of confessional feel to it. We've had to anonymize it all, otherwise it'd be sued. But
yeah,
it's very funny, and it is in a way. it's like a crash course in the reality of the film business. Because the reality of the
Yeah,
film business is, well, Terry captured it in making movies. It's completely screwed. I mean, the whole is mad. It's mad. It's a mad
yeah,
business. Madder
yeah,
than you could ever imagine.
yeah. This is a little bit there was that other version of the watch that came out. What was your feelings on that one?
I didn't. The TV series.
Yeah.
Right. I
Did
didn't
you
watch.
ever get to see
No,
that?
I
I didn't
didn't.
see that. No.
Because what in
Uh,
this country it was behind.
Lucky.
What really? That was on the Rihanna Disowned, wasn't it?
I'm not sure, but it was it was quite controversial in the fact that they said it was based on the watch, but it was they should have put this was very, very, very loosely based on we stole the people's names and then we just turned it into our own story.
Right.
It was okay. I'm just going to say
I
it's
didn't. I
crap,
didn't know
but
it actually got made because I remember like hearing it was in development, and that's the last
yeah,
I heard. I didn't realise it actually got made.
It's a shame
yeah,
they did that because the one thing
yeah,
that's Terry's got so many stories to tell. Why make them up? It's like
yeah. I
it's all
know.
there.
Well, they had veterinary as a female. They had it was almost sort of like they were trying to um, push the theme of steampunk or something into it, and it just, I don't know. A friend of mine watched it and he said, "Oh, you'd like this? There's this new TV series come out, and you'll really love it. It's called The Watch." And I went, "Oh yeah." I said, and he said, "Oh, it's written by your guy, that Terry guy." And I went, "All right." So I started to watch it, and I went, "This isn't what it's supposed to be." But as far as my friend was concerned, he said he enjoyed it. But if he's not a Pratchett fan, like he's never read Pratchett. So if he had read Pratchett, he would have just thrown the book at the TV screen, I think.
Did it have the humor?
I think everyone's here's gone, oh.
Did it have all the humor?
Did it have the humor? Nah, they missed it by a mile, everyone's
See,
saying.
what's the point?
Yeah.
Terry without the humor, what's the point? Terry brought so
It,
much joy into the world with his wit, didn't he?
it's almost like, when you go to the markets and you see a brand name that looks kind of sort of like Nike, but it's not a Nike brand. That's kind of how it came across. They should have had the licensing people come in and close it down. That's kind of what you got. You got the cheap version but I think the fact that they said it was Terry Pratchett was written in the thing, it's based on Terry Pratchett's story and the watch. They were trying to get the fans in, and they'd go, "Oh, everyone would love that," because it's on the skirts of Terry's, and then they would have just gone, "Nah." It was, yeah. Anyway,
Because Terry had gone by that time they made that, hadn't he?
we're going to have another comment about it.
Yeah, it was like when you tell a medieval painter how to paint an elephant, but they've never seen an elephant. It's like,
Yeah,
it's got the right amount of legs.
yes, yes. So,
Because I wonder if
yeah,
Terry had been if Terry had been around, I wonder if he would have really put his foot down. Because he'd gone by
yeah,
that point, hadn't he?
it doesn't like they've gone on any permissions. Like I know that Narrativia insists on sticking to his work, and it was awful. Anyway, so I'm going to move on from that. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, so Nell has asked, "What's Bev's puppy's name?"
It's Riley.
Riley.
He made a brief appearance.
Yeah, he made a brief appearance. We
Yeah,
missed that. He must have stuck his head in and went, Dad's on the film. I'll come back out later.
yeah. She just came up, put her head around, and normally she'd
Yeah.
come up and try and get on me. But,
Yeah, my dog does that as well. Any more questions, guys? No, crickets and tumbleweed. So we might finish it there. Just no. So what are you working on now? What are you doing? Individual stuff,
No,
or
work
are you
together.
working, collaborating?
Yeah, we were on an Aussie book. Peter Carey's Big Bazooly. We're
Ah,
adapting that as a movie. That's
yes.
what we're currently on our desk at the moment. Also, a Victorian TV detective series called Deadly Spies, set
Ah,
in Cambridge about the first female Indian porter who ends up being a
okay.
detective. So that's a really interesting one.
Oh, that'd be
And we've got a
interesting.
really contemporary spy story about a guy that was thrown up the espionage service. So all sorts of stuff on. Yeah, no, it's good.
It sounds like it's a lot of historical, well,
S-
based on historical
Some, I mean, yeah,
themes.
some. The thing is, when you've done some historical, you end up getting offered more historical. As you do end
Yes.
up in a bit of a pigeonhole. But as Bev always says, better to be in a pigeonhole than not in any pigeonhole at all. It's like, you know,
Well, that's what pays the money, right?
right.
And, that does help it. I mean, you obviously doing it because you enjoy it, but the money in the pockets does help as well. The jingling change.
It
Moist would love
does.
that.
It does, but honestly, no one becomes a writer for the money. You become a writer because you love writing. The money's
Yes,
compensation for all the kind of grief, but it's too difficult a job to do if you were just doing it for the money. There's easier ways to make money, but
Yeah.
no,
yes.
we love it, and there's absolutely no intention of retiring. Not only would we go mad if we retired, our wives would go even madder. Like
I
they would
know.
kill us if we weren't. Our office burnt down a few years ago, and I had to work from home for a while, and all my neighbors said to my wife, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Karen." And it's like, why are you sorry for her? Because my office burnt down. And they're like, no, no, that means he's going to be around all day long. And they were
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
all these
yeah.
wives are like, oh God, the hell of that. So we
I'm
can't
sure she
retire.
was, when it first happened, she was probably going, what am I going to do with him?
He's going to be here,
It's like, get out of the way. I'm trying to clear.
out of the way.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
It'll be
know.
lovely. I'll be here all the time. Isn't that lovely for you?
That's,
No.
that's why you have man caves.
Yes.
Which is
I've
Bev's. He's in his man cave. You can see from all the guitars up there.
Yes, yeah, I saw that. As soon as you were saying that you used to be you write music, and I went, oh yeah, that makes sense. I can see that now.
How many guitars is it now, Bev?
Oh, getting on for 30, I guess.
And do you have a favorite, Bev, like a favorite guitar or
It
any
sort of
other instrument?
changes week, you fall in and out of love with them.
Yeah. I suppose it depends on the music that, like this one sounds better for that
Yeah,
and
exactly.
bit like that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's it. I think I'm all questioned out now. I know, I do know. So Richard, we're talking about Bev's music. Do you have an aside that you um, delve in occasionally just to get away from the writing?
Um, no. Novels. I
Oh,
write novels as an aside. Different type of writing.
that's fair enough. All right then. And we're coming close to time anyway. So thank you very much
A,
for agreeing to
a
talk to
pleasure.
us.
Thank you for
It's
having
been a
us.
No,
pleasure.
it's great to talk
Yeah,
about Terry. We love to talk about Terry. It's fantastic. And
yeah.
have a great rest of the convention. And
Thank you very much. And good luck with all your projects as well.
fantastic. And have a
Thank
Thank
great
you.
party.
Yes. Yeah. Dead Monkeys Party. We're just living for that.
Great stuff. Have a good one.
All right. Great stuff. Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
all.
Everyone's
Bye.
cheer
Bye. Bye.
everyone's cheering. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a
Bye.
lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.